Okay, class, so welcome. I wanted to make sure we were posting videos every week that kind of showed you guys how to do things. I realized that one did not get posted last week, and I thought it had. So I'm going to go back, show you guys how to do some of the things that were in homework 3. Some of you guys had questions about these things, with good reason. There should have been a video posted. And you'll need all of these tools for the quiz. So we're going to start by just walking you guys through exactly what it looks like when you open an Excel sheet. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to click this. Homework 3 data. You're going to go down here. So once you open it, it's going to load it. We'll wait for it to load. Usually when you open an Excel sheet that somebody else sends you, when you open it at first, you're going to see this yellow or cream kind of bar appear here, and it's going to say enable editing. I want you guys to enable editing. Without enabling the editing, you are actually not able to make any changes to the sheet. So that's the first thing that you want to do. The second thing that I want to show you is just sort of easy click arounds and some of the jargon. So in week 1, there was a file, I believe, that said Intro to Excel Basics. And that kind of showed you what the names of all the different things in Excel was. So I want to highlight those things. So whenever we open an Excel file like we just did, so this perimeter here, this entire thing is called a workbook. Okay, it's its own separate workbook. Right here, we have what we call a sheet or a tab, and a workbook can have multiple tabs, so I'm adding tabs now, or it can just have one tab. So if I go and delete these, then it's just going to have a single tab or sheet. So the word sheet, the word tab are used interchangeably. The sheets and tabs are located within a larger workbook. Here we've got a cell. Okay, so any single cell. Cells in Excel are named by their corresponding letter and number, kind of in a grid. So this cell that says Thompson here that I have selected, it's actually located in cell C10 is how we would name that. Excel also has columns, so our columns go down. Just think about like a column that would hold up a house, or, you know, in Greek and Roman times, they often use columns for building, right? Just think of the columns as something tall. So the columns are up here, and then over here, the rows are always numbered. So the columns are always lettered columns, and rows are always numbered. So that's sort of a brief explanation of some of the naming conventions for some of the working pieces of Excel. Next, we're going to start talking about how to actually manipulate a workbook and change some of the data. So I'm going to start by giving you guys a shortcut, and I'm going to write out this shortcut over here. It's important for you guys to know this one and practice it. So anytime you want to select an entire row of data or an entire column of data without selecting any of the blank cells that come before or after it, you can do this easily by selecting a cell and then using the Shift plus the Control. For you guys, it'll be abbreviated like this usually, and then an arrow key. Okay, so the arrow keys are located in the bottom right-hand corner of most keyboards, and they literally just look like arrows. They go up and down and sideways. So I'm going to do an example. So let's say I want to select this row of data. It's really easy to do when our data only goes to column G. But if our data went all the way across and was hundreds of rows long, it would be a really long time for me to drag my cursor all the way to select that data. So an alternative is I can select cell A1, and then I can click Shift, Control, and my right-hand arrow all at the same time. And when I let off, this single row is going to be highlighted. I can also do that in a downward direction. So I can go Shift, Control, and down arrow, and it's going to select just the cells that have data in them. This is different than just clicking on row 2. Row 2 will select the row, but it selects all these empty cells over here where I don't have any data, and I don't really want that. I might just want to format these cells that actually have data in them. So for homework 3, I asked you guys to insert a table with a specific style. So I'm going to go back over here. To insert a table, you've got to actually select all of your data first. So I can do this by clicking cell A1, and I can either drag, so I'm holding down my right-hand cursor, and I can either drag until I have all of these cells selected. Okay, so that would work. Or I can try this shortcut here. So I can go first, I can go Shift Control down Now I've got my entire row selected, and then I can leave it that way and go again and go Shift Control and then right arrow, and it selects the whole table, or I'm sorry, the whole data block. So now I'm ripe to put in a table. So to input a table, you've got a bunch of tools right here under the Insert button. So you've got your Home button, now I'm in Insert. Right here it says Table. I'm going to go ahead and select that. It's going to give me a prompt. This prompt is basically just asking me like, hi, are you wanting to put a table on this entire area that you have selected? And I'm going to say, yes, I want that. So don't pay attention to the fact that it looks goofy. That's just the way Excel formats things. So we're going to click OK. So now we notice our data all of a sudden looks different, right? It's got sort of these headers up here with the arrows, and then we've got like alternating columns of colors. So what did I ask you guys to do? So we have a table inserted, but now we want a specific table style. So we want table style medium 2. I'm going to go back to Excel. I am going to go to, in this version of Excel, it's in page layout, or I'm sorry, in this table, we're going to go back to our table properties, table design. So we're going to go right over here. And then these are our table styles. So this is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to click on table styles, and I am looking for this specific style. So table style medium 2. Okay. So when you hover over these just for a second, it tells you what the table is. So this says white table style medium 1, light green table style, light style 20. So I want to see all my options. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for medium style 2. So I've got medium style 10, medium style 9. I got to go back up. Medium style 5, 4, 3. I'm getting close. Okay, and here it is. So it actually automatically defaulted to table style medium 2, and that just happens to be blue. Okay, so we do have the right table style. So you've got table design over here. Now I've asked you guys to insert a specific theme called Berlin. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to go to page layout. Okay, so we're on a different button. Before we were working under insert. Now we're working under page layout. So I asked for a specific theme called Berlin. So now we have to go through, and these are all the different styles, and I want Berlin. There it is. So now our table has changed from blue to orange. So we've got table style 2 applied, and we have the theme titled Berlin. Okay, so our table is coming right along. Now I want us to change the font size of the headings in row 1 to size 15 font. So I go back here. So this is rows. Remember, rows go across. So this is row 1. I want all these fonts changed to be size 15. So we're going to go home, because this is where all of our font information is located. We're going to highlight this, and we can do it with the shortcut, or I just did it by holding down and dragging to the right. And I just want them to be size 15. I didn't say what kind of font. So we only have 14 and 16 in here. Just like in Microsoft Word, you can just dictate what font it is by backspacing and clicking enter. Okay, so now all of my fonts are size 15. I'm widening the columns by just hovering in between on the line in between the columns until I get this funny looking sort of T with the arrows on each side. Then I just right click, hold, and drag, and that will widen or decrease your columns on a side note. Okay, great. So we've gotten through 3 of these things. Now we want to rename the tab to the word California. Okay, so remember, we made the distinction that this entire thing is the workbook, and the tab or sheet is what's down here. So to rename your tab or sheet, all you do is you go down to the word and double click, and notice that now it's highlighted and I have a cursor down there. So I'm going to backspace, and I'm just going to write the word California, and I'm going to click enter after I do that. Okay, now it's there in green. All right, great. So now the tab has been renamed. Next, I go back. We've done number 3, we've done number 4. Now I want you to rearrange the columns so that they appear in the following order. So we've got to go rep, region, order date, units, item costs, and total. Okay, so rep, region, order date. Let's just start there. So this one needs to be first. So the easiest way to do this, since we're just starting, is literally to go select the column. So do that by clicking on the C. So up here, you get this arrow. So all of our data is selected. Now I'm going to right click. I'm going to go, I can go cut, and then I can just go over here to cell A. And if I right click again, I can go paste options, and I can go insert cut cells. Okay, now rep is first. And we're going to do that a couple more times, so don't worry if you missed it. You can watch it again. So then we've got to do region and order date. So now we need this one next. So I'm going to go right click. I'm going to cut. I'm going to go to column B because I want it to appear in front of column B. And I'm actually going to right click again, insert cut cells. Great, so now I've got rep, region, and order date. And I needed rep, region, order date, units, item, and item cost. Okay, so now I've got to move units. So I go right click, I go cut. It needs to come after order date, but before item. So I go here, and I go insert cut cells. Okay, so now we're doing pretty good. We've got rep, region, order date, units. Now we need item, and it's already there. And because we already moved these other things around, item, cost, and total are actually already in the correct order. So now we've got number 5 done. The very last thing is we need to rename the workbook to supply orders and save it. So we renamed the tab, but renaming the workbook is something completely different. So right now the workbook's name appears right here. It's called Homework 3 Data because that's what I called it when I sent it to you guys to manipulate. But now you're going to go into your file. You're going to go to Save As. And you can store this anywhere you want. If you want to store it on your OneDrive or wherever, I usually store it on a desktop just so it's easy to find. So I go this desktop, then I scroll up and I go to desktop so that it's going to appear right in my background. And then I type in whatever I wanted it named. So what did I want you guys to name it? Supply orders. Okay, so I go supply orders and then I click save. So now when I minimize this and I just get back to my desktop, we see it right here, supply orders. So that is what you would go back to your submission, and then you would click submit and you would upload that file as the homework assignment. So now we've learned how to insert a table. We've learned how to apply a theme. We know how to change our font size, rename a tab, rearrange columns, and rename our workbook. In addition, we know all of the vocabulary, which applies to the different parts of the Excel functionality, and we know this great shortcut on how to select. So Shift Control Arrow or Shift Control Arrow, right? And that helps us select everything. Okay, so that ends tutorial for week 1. If you guys have any questions, make sure you reach out and email me, and I will be posting another video for next week. All right.